Hello, I would like to inform you that what you're about to listen to are our views and comments from the hosts and guests that only reflect their own view and not the community's as a whole. You're also committing to hire us at some point in the future, whether or not you want to or you like our work. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And Eddie, play the banter section.
Oh, God, why is it so cold?
I'm sitting here in my shorts and t-shirt because the house is absolutely boiling because
I hate
France
you.
doesn't like it cold. So every time I'm here, I turn the heating down. Every time I've gone out, the heating goes back up again.
Kev, do you want to trade? Do you want to trade places?
I don't know. I'm the one paying for the bill. That's it.
Well, if it helps, I'm freezing as well, and
Good.
yeah, even with the heating on and my many layers. But you know what? As they say, winter is coming. It's definitely coming.
Oh no, don't say it like that. No.
I know. I'm sorry.
Both in the terms of the weather and the TV show. Oh.
Me.
Hello everybody, this is the Ed Talks About podcast, a weekly podcast talking about cosplay, Comic-Con, and everything else. I'm your host Eddie, and this week we are talking about what is a photo? What is a photo? Do we know the answer to this? Well, hopefully we'll have an answer to this towards the end of the podcast. But joining us on the podcast is Cassandra from See Lestrange. Oh
Hello.
my God, my big tongue's getting in the way again. That's right, ladies. And Kev of Kev Pack Photography. Welcome to you both.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi.
I can't believe I mentioned my tongue like that. Sorry.
I mean, that could be edited out, but it is rather entertaining. So.
Yeah, and how many times are you going to edit out and redo the start?
Whoa. Okay, hang on. That was my second attempt. Don't make it sound like I did like 8 or 10.
No.
No, it wasn't that amount. It was maybe 12, maybe 14 times.
Okay, you've added 10 on top of that.
I can count.
Me can count.
Yeah, we can speak as well.
The only reason I was panicking because about 2-3 weeks ago, I did an online. Oh no, it was last week. Registered to this podcast. It was last week. I did an online panel on a Thursday and then in person one on a Friday, and I'm just shit myself about talking in front of people. I end up talking. I know that I talk so fast. I'm going, Eddie, my job, and I just think, oh, why is anyone listening to me? So I feel like I just need to enunciate. And I was thinking the other day, I swear on these podcasts, I do talk fairly normal speed, unless
I think you do.
Yeah, unless my normal speed is fast, and people have just gotten used to it. I don't know.
Then again, I get told I talk really quickly. In person and like over the phones and over this sort of thing. So maybe that's why I've always like meshed well with you in that regard. Yeah. I don't know.
I think you speak at a normal rate for most of the conversation. It's just when you've got this, your set intro and your set outro, I think you do sort of plough through that as fast as you possibly can with your tongue not quite keeping up with your brain.
Well, yeah, because I feel like I need to get what I say on the screen correctly. And if I get one bit wrong, that's it. It's all over in my head. Oh.
I can't remember how many times I've heard you do the outros wrong as well.
My outro, just go do your social media.
Remembering all your links and things, yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Because I do that off my head, but I don't have that written down. No, because sometimes I like to think when I'm talking off from my head, I'm better. If I'm reading from a script, I feel like I have to follow a format. But I have to get that format right. As I said, it will just feel... Anyway, we're not talking about my own inability to host a podcast.
Get points for trying.
Indeed. Right. So, let's do a 7-day checkup. Ladies first. Cassandra, how are you? How's the last 7 days for you?
Yeah, I mean, uneventful. It was eventful in a way. I worked on a show that my friends put on, which was amazing. It went really well. First professional theatre credit, so I'm very happy. And, other than that, I got to do a full theatre evacuation at my own workplace, which was really fun. Really loved doing those.
What did you do to cause the evacuation?
I didn't do it. It was the legal ones that we have to do twice a year, and I love them because it means you get to scream at the public, and it's just really fun. I'm a weirdo who finds that funny because when they hurl abuse at you, you can't do anything. But when that fire alarm is going off, customer service just goes out the window. So it's really fun. And that was the highlight of my week. I won't lie. I'm normal, I promise. It's just really satisfying
I mean,
to do it.
yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, so I'm just readjusting. To be fair,
That's more information than I wanted.
no, I'm readjusting my blanket that I'm wearing. I want it to wrap around my legs a little bit more.
You're readjusting yourself.
No. Yeah, oh, sorry. Oh God, I just realised what I just said. Sorry. Oh. So I've got one of these. It's an ROG blanket, but it's got arms to it, but it doesn't quite cover the back really well. And I think I've now.
I hope you're wearing something
it
else,
like
not just
an
Oh
your
yeah,
hoodie?
I'm wearing things underneath it. Don't get me
I
wrong.
was about to say you should get yourself an hoodie. Those are really comfy.
Oh no, I've got one of those ready to put on later in the year. Because
yeah.
I won't talk about my personal situation, but yeah. But yes, I've got that. Yeah, no. So anyway, what was I saying? You were fire evacuation. No, totally forgotten now. I was going to make a point.
Yeah.
That's all right.
About screaming at people.
Yeah. Well, I was going to
Yeah.
say, is it a bit? No, that's just. But you do need someone to just bark orders, because if there was an actual fire,
Yeah, people wouldn't do anything. It was just they wouldn't. They'd just look at you, and I'd be like, "Okay, have fun."
the amount of times I've walked out of Tesco's, and I will single out Tesco's, and the alarm goes off, no one does anything to stop
No.
me. And I do think, have I actually stolen something? I don't know. And I'm not actually stolen anything, but I do think, have I stolen something? It's the fact that I think I walk out calmly. I think they go, oh, if he was a criminal, he wouldn't walk out calmly.
Why are you always setting the alarm off when you go to Tesco?
Because I buy their meat then. It's got those security tag on it.
And you don't have it de-tagged or
That's not my that's not my job to make sure it's de-tagged. Kev, what about yourself? How's the last 7 days for you?
It's just been a bit quiet, really, this last 7 days. This last couple of days, just doing things like weekly shop, and today went over to Media City for a bit of a walk around with a friend and his dog, and then going for brunch. So, but apart from that, doing the usual, sitting at my computer, editing pictures. Story of my life.
Yeah, I've had that weird to be editing photos again. Every weekend I've got, right, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to edit. And I've just not been doing it until this weekend. And
yeah, I think as the weather gets colder outside and you feel less inclined to actually go out and take new pictures, then catching up with a backlog of pictures, I need to get out the door.
Oh no, I've been less inclined just to get out of bed, if I'm honest.
I mean, that is relatable in itself. It's cold. You don't want to leave your warm bed.
God, I really don't.
It's not fun.
No,
it's not good.
It's not good. Anyway, right. So this podcast, what is a photo? So I'm seeing. I knew this. I will have to talk about this subject again. It's very focused around about generative AI, but it's really weird how I like that we talk about generative AI, about the copyrightness of it, which is great. That's that is definitely a moral quandary. Hopefully, we will talk about it in the podcast. But there's certain developments since that last podcast which I've gone, okay, that's interesting. And then this constant phrase keeps coming up, which is, what is a photo? And I'm thinking, yeah, what is a photo? And I just want to talk about it from a cosplayer's point of view and a photographer's point of view. And I know we've had Kevin on the podcast before talking about it, but he was so good talking about it. I just thought I had to have him again. But hopefully we'll have some different questions, different answers, or maybe some updated answers to like the further approach to generative AI now, because it's moved, it leaps and bounds from it. So I'll start with Cassandra on this one.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? You good?
I am ready.
So basically, what has been your experience with just general edited photos? And I mean by edited photos, like the traditional edited photos, composite, added a bit of SFX photos, things like that.
I think I've got quite relatively decent experience with edited photos. Like whenever I do like cosplay shoots, that even if it's just slight editing, whether that be just like slight like blemishes, fixing makeup to make it look like I haven't been at a convention for the whole day and I want to collapse, to you've definitely edited me like that before, Eddie. And whether or to like full on background edits, special effects, like all of that, like I've also had some stuff, like I know you've edited one of my photos with some AI to make the background look less like the Excel, which I was very impressed by. I think it is very clever at like how far editing has come, whether it just be something really tiny as just like spot removal, to whether it's entire background and the only thing that's like actually present in reality, in a sense, is my body. But it's I find it fascinating personally. I just find it really interesting, like how far people can really go and the lengths that people are willing to push it, whether that be for their own just wanting to improve their skills, or whether that is just their art style. As at the end of the day, I view photography as an art personally, and we are collaborating on a piece of art. So
okay, we'll definitely put a pin in that phrase. It is art. So yes. Before Kev comes in, I feel like I should interject, because as a photographer, I think I will admit this, when I first started doing photography, I was a lazy photographer. I really just wanted to refrain from editing as many photos as possible, if at all. I just wanted to just point, click, maybe just color correct and send on the photos, because I thought, genuinely, I did believe like the beauty is in the photo, that you should keep everything as accurate as it was in the photo. You shouldn't manipulate this, you shouldn't remove that. But as time's gone on, that mantra, that motto that I had in my head, seemed to waver quite a bit. And now I do skin smoothing, remove the blemishes here, more, a lot more color correction, things like that. Change the way I edit photos that I did 10 years ago to now. And like I said, I'm trying to as many available techniques that will help me, aid me to edit a photo. So it's quite interesting how my journey from wanting to not edit a photo to the nth degree to I will edit a photo to a fairly degree of acceptance in my own lines. I hope that makes sense to people. Kev, what about yourself? What is your experience with like editing photos?
Things change. I think is what it boils down to, isn't it? So when I first started, it was film, and I would take the picture, and then I would either, if it was black and white, I used to do black and white developing myself. But if it was color, I'd be sending it off to a lab and then having them come back, and that was it. And then we got to the stage where we could have the pictures from film put onto a CD, and we could upload the pictures from a CD to a gallery. So they were online, and the cosplayers could see their pictures online. But this was, God, I'm old, aren't I? This was before the days of Photoshop. So, I mean, when Photoshop did come out, it was a very, very basic program at the beginning of it. So even then, you weren't doing a lot of editing to cosplay photos. But then, as the programs have become better, with more facilities and more functions, then you start using them, and you're doing more edits to, for myself, yes, I'm doing the normal skin edits and the color corrections and that side of it. But I do also sometimes fix costumes. So if a bit of a costume's sticking out where it shouldn't be sticking out, I might fix that. Or if there's some damage which happened during the convention, I go in and fix the damage, stuff like that. And then now with the generative AI stuff, I've been using that to alter some of the backgrounds. I haven't gone as far as completely replacing a background with something else, and I don't tend to do that heavy of a composite when I was doing compositing, because as far as I'm concerned, I still want it to mostly be the photo. So if it's less than 75% photo and 25% changes, to me that's moving away from being a photo to being more digital art. So if it's over, say, 50% fake, and not fake, but not part of the original photo, then I consider that digital art rather than a photo, if that makes sense. But basically, these are just new skills. If you stop learning, then you're going to get left behind, basically. And you won't be able to keep up with what people are expecting, because I think that's changing. With the not necessarily AI, but with special effects, especially. I was looking at some of Cassandra's pictures just now, and some of your pictures from The Witcher. Quite a lot of them, we've got little special effects and things going on in them, haven't you? So
Yeah, a couple of them, not loads of them. I don't
not loads,
expect it.
but
I
yeah,
don't expect it
yeah,
at all when people just so happen to edit them in. Like, it's just a really nice treat and a surprise for me.
exactly. Yeah,
As at the
yeah,
end of the day, I don't tell anyone how to edit unless there's something like, say, if I do end up on the day, like if I'm having like a makeup issue, or like there was a
yeah.
day once where my eye just wouldn't stop watering, and I tried to fix the makeup as best I could at the convention, but it just didn't go 100%.
Mm.
No,
So on that
exactly.
day,
Yeah,
I told people specifically, I was like, if you could do me a massive favor when editing, just try and fix that up as best you can. That would be great. But in general, I
yeah,
don't tell people to add anything unless, like, say they offer a paid service where it's like, oh, if you want special effects, I charge this much per photo.
mm,
If I see like the original edit once they've done it, and I'm in my brain, I go, oh, this would actually look quite good with effects, then I'd be happy to pay, because that's, again, it's people's time, it's money, it's a whole lot of contributing factors. But
yeah.
not all of my photos. I do have quite a few which where special effects for the Witcher ones, for back when I used to cosplay from Harry Potter, people would do that quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
And I always did appreciate it because it made it just look more from like it was from the source material. But at
No,
the end of the
exactly.
day,
Yeah.
like, I'm just cosplaying for the fun of it, and it's just always very nice added surprise when somebody did that for me. So
Yeah.
big props to all the photographers who I have posted or have worked with who have edited effects. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, and now there are programs like Boris Optics, which make some special effects really easy to apply and add to photos. So what could have been quite a time-consuming process in the past can now be something you can do in a reasonable amount of time. And how how much time is reasonable for editing cosplay photos really does depend.
Mm. Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you can go right down a rabbit hole and spend days and days just editing one photo if you're not careful.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I think we've already heard Kevin talked about this next question, but I'll let him go second and let Cassandra go first. So, when did you first hear about generative AI and its possibility, either both you as a cosplayer maybe helping you build cosplays, but more, did you think, oh, actually, that means that photographers be able to do, did ever that conversation enter your mind about when you first heard about generative AI?
I won't lie, the first time I heard of it was through you, Eddie.
Oh,
And it was when you were shooting you used it on these photos, but it was when you
mm,
shot my Triss Marigold
yeah.
last MCMA. You actually asked me, like, oh, I'm thinking of experimenting with generative AI, would you be
Mm,
interested in that? And I said, I was like, I'll be honest, I don't really know much about it, can you explain more? So he explained more to me and how it can be used, and I said, that's completely fine with me. At the end of the day, you're the one who took the photos. I trust you. My trust is all in you. Have fun with it.
mm,
And when I saw the results, I was very impressed because, again, like, the backgrounds do not look like the Excel at all. You would
mm,
not expect that those photos were taken in the infamous trees at the Excel, but it works because, like, you were able to create that different background from it. It is very effective.
mm,
And I was very impressed, but also at the same time, it was kind of nerve-wracking in a sense as well,
mm.
because if this is what, like, this software is able to do just with the background, what could it do with so many other things as well?
Yeah.
And it brings up the question of, like, yes, I'm a cosplayer standing and doing things for a photo, but will there come a point where the cosplayer isn't even needed in
Mm.
future? Like, just many things through my mind.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, and to be honest, that's something I was mentioning in the last podcast, wasn't it? But I think it's really good tool at the moment for altering, say, backgrounds and stuff like that, and just enhancing a picture you've taken. But it does show that it could be used in the opposite way and be used to create photos of people that they haven't given their consent for,
mm.
and looking, say, I want pictures of Cassandra wearing this cosplay or stuff like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and then going away and doing that. And so I think in some ways, while it's a very useful tool for enhancing pictures you've taken, there is always that danger out there as well of it being, another a tool which could be misused as well. And I do find that a bit worrying.
Yeah, there is definitely a seedy side of any. But I think I always said any tool could be used both good and bad. It's not inherently going to be used for bad, and it's not being inherently used for good. Like anything, there's going to be a good and bad side. I think when I first heard about it and saw what it could be used for, I was personally very, very, very excited by it. because I thought, oh, this will help me actually make editing photos a lot quicker. In fact, it really doesn't, because the way I edit photos is that I kind of leave the background alone, or if I'm really possessed, that I will actually then try to do something about the background, and I get very frustrated with it, and that's when I probably will save time on that. But it's very rare for me to actually kind of like sort out the background compared to what I usually do at Comic-Con. I tend to leave everything in photo. So when Generative AI came out, for me, it hasn't actually really quickened how I edit photos. It actually, in some respect, has slowed me down, because it's more that it's adding an extra step for me rather than replacing a step when I'm editing photos. And
Do you think it's giving your pictures something extra which you didn't have before?
yes, 100%. I do feel like that I can raise, in a sense, my photography game to the level where other composite photos, have those photographers have edited their photos, and which I'll talk about it later about a disclaimer. But I feel that I'm able, not say compete, but I'm able to show off a photo to the same level. But like I say, it's we'll talk about like my disclaimer later, because I think that's definitely a talking point I wanted to make. So I think I will start with Kev on this one. Actually, no, you haven't. You kind of have, and you kind of haven't. I mean, did you want to give more about? Did you want to talk about more about your when you first heard about it?
Well, I saw people playing around with things like Midjourney, obviously online, but I'm also in the beta program for Photoshop. So when it was being rolled out on Photoshop as you can try this in the beta. I did play around with it, and what I did find with generative AI was that a lot of the time this goes against our community standards. Why? I'm only taking something out of the background like a dustbin. What's that against the community standards?
It'd be really nice to know what those guidelines are, and they probably are in the terms and condition type of thing. But
I think it's thinking things that work bad in my pictures, which aren't bad.
Yeah.
So please give me a picture of a naked lady. That wasn't what I was doing. I said, please remove a dustbin and replace it with a tree.
It's quite interesting, because I'm using generative AI in other parts of my brand. So under my other branding, I can't. So I put a description of how I took the photo and things like that. But I'm getting to a point now where I'm really just talking in circles. I've just taken the same bit and just changing the odd word or here to there.
Yeah.
So I'm now getting generative AI to actually create these descriptions for me. And it's quite interesting. All I just said was, can you write about a blog post with about a latex model wearing latex items? And that's it. And it just goes, no, can't do with it, can't deal with it. I take out the word latex out, and it then can create the and it's quite interesting, those type of, even though I'm not asking it to create a so to say, overtly sexy, sexualized post, but because it sees keywords like that, it's going, no. Okay, fine. And I've got to
I think this sometimes shows when AI isn't as smart as people seem to think it is sometimes.
Oh god, the presentation I made on the Friday in person was about ChatGPT, and I've got this phrase. I've got this phrase that goes, computers are the smartest, dumbest things on this planet. Because yes, it could do like thousands and millions of calculations per second, but you can easily trip it up by putting in some data that it doesn't understand. It doesn't understand conceptually what things are. The example I use about ChatGPT is, which I saw online, which I use now constantly, is if you hang 3 towels on a clothesline and it takes 3 hours, how long would it take for 9 towels to dry? Now, between us 3 humans, we know the answer is what?
3 hours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was muted. Then,
I'm bad at maths. I'm sorry. I had to think.
Oh god! But if you ask ChatGPT that question at the moment, it doesn't conceptually understand what a towel line, what a clothesline is. It doesn't know what a towel is. It just sees it as a mathematical formula. So it will treat it as a mathematical formula and tell you that to dry 9 towels, it'll take 9 hours. It's like no. But it will say, depending on the material and all that, it will still take 9 hours. I'm like, what? So it does have some context, but it doesn't quite understand the
That hurts my brain.
You don't do many riddles, do you?
I don't do maths. I'm not a very logical person. It just the brain hurts.
No. Oh dear.
I'm an intelligent idiot, Eddie. You know this.
That's very true. That's very true. What was I saying? But yeah, no. Like I said, I've you know, I was personally quite excited by it, but I can see why a lot of people were very fearful or distrusting of it, especially how it's gained its knowledge through. I've got to talk about it in the sense that it's fed data throughout multiple open sources. I would say a lot of it may be. No, a lot of it is copyrighted, and some of it it's not.
Well,
And
that's one of the things that if you're using Photoshop and using generative AI in Photoshop, they say it's not being taught on copyrighted material. It's only on stuff which is within the Adobe ecosystem of stuff which is copyright free. Or there's also some talk, isn't there, that you're going to have to use credits to use generative AI going forward, and people who've contributed to its learning will get some recompense in the form of money back or things from Adobe. Yeah, this is when it finally we start having to pay for having using generative AI, because that is on the cards, unfortunately.
yeah, it was just. I mean, at the moment, if you use ChatGPT, there is a free level, but that's 3.5. If you pay for it, that'll get you to the version 4, which is a whole different ball game. It uses, but like I said, it can. If you're talking about ChatGPT on an academic level, you have to still remember that ChatGPT is still fed information, and you don't know if you don't know if that information is biased in one form or another, because it's
No,
still.
I remember seeing about a legal case in America where people use ChatGPT to put together their brief, because the information they put in was looking for a particular bias. ChatGPT made up cases, which gave the answer they wanted. So they went to court based on ChatGPT, and then it got completely thrown out because these cases were completely made up.
Absolutely, what was it? My colleague.
I think the lawyers were disbarred, I believe.
They were, because basically they misunderstood what ChatGPT was. They thought it was another form, in other sense, another layer to like Google search, that it will search for things. And I think they basically heard it from their children are talking about it, thinking, "Oh, okay, then we can use this." And it's really interesting that because my colleague was talking about this, she included it in their presentation, and they were talking about how they could have just gone to the association bar and just double checked all of these links,
which is what they should have done. Yeah.
Exactly, and the fact they didn't is like, oh god. So, like, then going back to the first point I made about ChatGPT or generative AI, it can be used for both good and bad.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you can use it to like help you like search and generate like frameworks and summarizing and things like that. But at the same token, you still got to do the work to make sure that the information. Anyway, we're not talking about the written work. We're talking about the photography work, the image, the visual of it. So, talking about all of that, clearly I've used it. I've used it and talked about it in both personal and professional sense. Kev, have you tried any? I'm assuming you have, but I don't. I just want to make sure.
Oh yeah. I have.
Yeah, go on.
So I've been using it a lot on pictures I took at the last SecretCon, which was at the science place in Sheffield. And I've used it on foregrounds and backgrounds, basically, making changes to make them more in keeping with whatever image it was that I take. Because I do like, even if I'm at an event, to take pictures which are suitable backgrounds for the subject I'm shooting. You know what I mean? It's like you're taking pictures, say, of a Witcher, and you're doing it in front of an office block. It doesn't really seem to be in keeping. You know what I mean?
Would not make
Are you
any
sure?
sense.
Whereas, so basically, I've been using it not just on backgrounds. So I've used it also to put things on the foregrounds. So you've got more depth to your pictures. I've not used it to completely change things, and I have been using. what's the fill called as well?
Content fill.
Yeah, content-aware fill.
That's it.
Probably as much as generative AI, because I used to use content-aware fill a lot to, fix things in backgrounds and stuff like that. And so I'm still using a mix of content-aware fill and generative AI as well. But I've not used it actually on a person.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I'll fill in that question later.
Yeah, but that's where
yeah.
I've got to. I'm happy using it on the environment. I'm not so happy using it on a person.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Cassandra, have you used it? Have you tried it? Obviously, you're not a photographer, but have you used it to maybe like say, oh, how can I create this part of a costume, or how do I, have you used it to maybe create a timeline for how to build a costume?
I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't really thought of using it for anything like that.
Is there a reason why?
I just like to do these sort of things myself. Again, as I've said previously, I commission or I source things for all my cosplays. I don't really make them myself because I have no talent. But I tend to do things slowly anyway, so I like to take my time with it. And when it comes to finding reference images and parts, things like that, I like to do that. Take my time with it as well, as I just find it part of the enjoyment and part of the satisfaction I get when I'm able to find references from costumes. Say, which again, I'm going to use my Queen Gorgo from Zack Snyder's 300 for an example. The version of her that I cosplay as, she wears that dress probably for the last 10 minutes of the film, and that is it. But me being me decides, you know what, I want to do that costume because I like it. It's pretty. So I spent ages trying to find as many references as I could, both screen caps from the film from multiple websites. I took my own screen caps at one point. I looked at the action figures they had of her to get the style right for the wig. I think I spent I'd say about a good week and a half just finding the references because it was only used for 10 minutes. Even behind the scenes interviews, when I could find videos or images of Lena Headey wearing it behind the scenes, I was like, right, we're going to take that because that's a reference of how it falls or how the fabric looks and all this. And I probably could have used AI just to get I know one thing my commissioner and myself really struggled with was finding out how the sleeves were constructed because they're very unusual. And I could have possibly used AI for that, generative AI, to figure out how that would have been done, but that would have been a smart person move, and my brain doesn't think that far ahead. So, but it definitely would have its uses. I know I'm now considering in future, possibly if I was stuck like I was then, maybe, yes, I could look into using it for that, finding out how something is constructed. But at the same time, I like doing these things myself. I just get a lot of joy out of doing it myself, and I find it really satisfying when I'm able to do it all and then see the finished product at the end of the day. Even if I didn't make it, I sourced all of the references and everything, and I just find that really satisfying, seeing it all come together as one big thing.
Yeah, that's fine. Kevin?
Yeah, I was just thinking that I was saying I haven't used it on a person, but I have actually used Adobe Firefly itself to create an image from scratch. So, saying basically to give ideas for shoots, not cosplay related, but, I do other creative photography shoots as well, just to give me some ideas of what I might do in the studio in the future. So creating an image without any person or any photo as the basis for it. So I have used generative AI, just writing a text saying a gothic vampire with wearing such and such and with such and such makeup, and putting all the descriptions in just to give it some reference photos for ideas for future shoots. So I have used it then, but that isn't something I've published because it is literally just for me for references for future ideas for shoots, if that makes sense.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
So I'm not. So I said, so I have drawn a line on using it on photos to be the environment, but I'm also using generative AI to generate other ideas for other shoots in the future, and I might use it for cosplay shoots, just in the future, just for ideas and planning. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, but if it's just then for reference and not the image itself, and that is literally digital artwork, I would never call that a photograph.
Yeah.
But you do see in Facebook, some of these now where people are creating what I would call digital artwork based on a person and a style, but and it's using a photo as a reference to get the face of a person.
Yeah.
But then what you're ending up with at the end of the day is not that person's photo. If that makes sense. I'm not sure I'm explaining that properly.
No, I think I understand. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this last time we were talking about generative AI in the podcast. The most I've gotten to using it on a cosplayer was just getting rid of the small things. I just want to see the difference between content aware versus generative AI. And basically, it was on the front lace wig where you can see the lace bit poking out. So I just said, "Can you just?"
That makes sense.
Yeah, but doing that, you don't have to use generative AI. You could have used the spot heal tool or the removal tool or
was generative AI better at that? I'm curious now.
I think because it's such a minor, small thing, I think it looks more natural.
Right.
But I don't think depend on how perfect you want the photo. I think if you use the other tools that already have been around for years, I don't think people would really notice. And I don't think I really notice. You have to really zoom in.
You are right, but fixing lace front wigs can be a right pain in the ass and quite time consuming.
Yeah.
So
just
as a cosplayer who tends to exclusively wear lace front wigs, I very much apologise for the pain and suffering I've caused you. It just they just sit so much better. I'm sorry. I'll just say it. They sit
they do
much
look
better.
good. It's just you do have to do a bit of work to fix them usually.
Yeah, don't worry, Cassandra. I'll be sending you my mental health bill to you.
It's okay. I'll save your mental health with videos of my dogs being stupid. So.
And obviously, if you've got a fringe as well, it takes all the pain away anyway.
Yeah.
But,
none of my cosplays have that, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm annoying.
You are. Well, you are annoying. Yes, indeed.
You love me, really. I could be worse. You haven't killed me yet.
The love is a strong word.
You haven't killed me yet.
You've said it twice. I'm ignoring it.
If you never hear from me again after this, Eddie has killed me.
That's not an admission that I'm about to kill you. Jesus Christ. Anyway, what was I going to say next? So, it's quite interesting. We talk about all of this about generative AI, how our personal use of it. Now, this is what really kicked off a podcast. Is basically, let's go this way around. So, I've got myself the new Google Pixel phone, and the new Google Pixel phone has a feature called Best Take, which basically it will scan. If you take a series of photos, let's say 5 or 6 photos of a group of people, let's say 4 people in it, and in each of the 5 photos, someone's blinking, someone's got their head turned the wrong way around, and it's really annoying that you've got not got one clear photo. What Google Photo can do now on the Pixel 8 and the 8 Pro is that it will scan your those 5 photos in your photo album. It will take those faces, and you can pick and composite those 5 photos to make the perfect photo.
Oh, that's clever.
It's clever, but the commentary behind that was then, hang on, technically that photo never existed. It never was a genuine photo. This in reality, it never existed. What is a photo? And I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. That's a really good take on that subject.
Well, say I know somebody that takes pictures of school kids, and he has the whole class sitting on one photo, and for chance of you getting a perfect picture of all the kids not misbehaving or not having your eyes closed or not looking the right direction is limited.
Correct.
So half the time he's cutting and pasting various heads from various photos to get one school class photo. So that's not new. And okay, it's not being done by AI, but the outcome at the end of the day is here's a photo of a class all looking better than the one-off picture which had been taken. So the fact that the phone is doing it automatically for you, I don't think is any different. I know what you're calling it is computational photography. Basically, there's a routine in the background running to work out what's gone wrong, and take what you had from another picture and then composite it all together to make what you need as a good image at the end of the day. And like I said, okay, we might have been doing that with compositing and cutting and pasting, and but it's just a computer doing it rather than you doing it yourself. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but I think what the new thing is that it's now going to be in more hands of people that could do that rather than a select few.
Does that make it worse?
I don't know. This is what I'm saying. But
it's interesting because I know for myself, I'm very good at blinking in photos, so I know that that's useful in the fact that there is like 100 group photos with my friends, just taken like when we've been like, whether it just be at Comic-Con and we want to get photos together, or even just when we're meeting up and we're like, we should take a photo because we're never all together in the same place. I'm very good. I'm always the one who blinks, no doubt about it. It's always me. I will fully be honest with that, hand on heart, it's my fault. But and that could be useful for that sort of thing. Like, I know if it was in more people's hands, then we wouldn't be like, oh, for goodness sake, you're doing it again. Because it would be an easy fix, but at the same time, there is the argument of, is this an actual photo or is this just computer generated edit of you not blinking? Like, there is it. I think it also depends on how that photo is used as well.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just like, again, like me using the example of going out with friends and just taking a picture when we're out, I feel if it was just used to like that purpose, you just want to post on social media, it's not like professional photo by any means, it's just, here's a selfie I took with all my friends, then yeah, that's fine, not an issue. But then if you're taking that photo, you're using it for professional like purposes, say if it was of a cosplay and you were doing it for like a planned edit and you had this all planned out, and you didn't own up to that, you just be like, yep, this is definitely the photo, this is definitely it. When it isn't, then I think it can cause some problems.
Yes, because I was going to say, this starts going to the realm of, in a sense, as I would see it, this is from my point of view, like a mental health point of view, is that you're presenting a photo which you're saying, oh, this photo was taken on a beautiful day, everyone's looking the right way, everyone's happy, everything was perfect that day. And you're presenting that to the world, and yet it never really existed per se. But that also has a knock-on effect that people see that and go, oh, look at them having such a perfect day, a perfect moment. Why can't I have that moment? And it's like, it's, that's, I think that's how people...
And it definitely would like have a knock-on effect on people's mental health. Not just like the odd person, but just in general. It would have I feel that would have a bad knock-on effect if it was in the hands of absolutely everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Say if you were taking pictures of a cosplayer, and then when you got them back, there was something wrong with every single photo, would it be better just to give them what you consider a bad photo, or do some edits between, taking bits of various pictures to come up with a good image that you could actually send to them, rather than nothing at all, or something which was just below par? Would that be better or worse?
I'll leave that to the cosplayer.
I think it depends. I feel like sometimes, yes, it would be good to have this be accessible, to be able to use it, but at the same time, again, it wouldn't, because people are, just in general, people are dishonest and they wouldn't own up to using this sort of software. And even if, yes, it is, people can argue, oh, it's just a photo taken on a phone, like, this isn't edited, just by using like that best photo, like whatever we're going to call it, app, or I don't know what to call it.
Best take,
thank you. Just using that as well, you could argue, like, yes, like, you could have just been taking photos, like, just pressing the shutter button. But by using the best take software, you're still technically, you are using AI and you are using technology to then tell you, oh yeah, we've just made it, so this is perfect, when it's not real.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, even though computational photography is limited to phones at the moment, I have absolutely no doubt that it will eventually find its way into cameras as well. So that it won't be just a case of, oh, this was only taken on a phone and this is just a phone snap. I have no doubt that it will find its way into into camera brands as
Oh,
well. And,
I think it's already in camera brands. I can't remember what it was. It's one of those like action cameras, like a GoPro, but not by
Yeah.
GoPro. And there's a feature in it where there is an AI filter mode, where it'll generate a funky filter to go over where you are. And
That's slightly terrifying.
Yeah, and I was thinking, wow, that's already in technology now.
Yeah, it's bound to be more and more built into your basic cameras. It's going to happen. There's no other way around that. So you're going to get to the stage at some point where you're just not going to know anymore.
Yeah.
You
Coming
won't know.
from like the cosplayer's point of view for that also just makes me kind of terrifies me, I won't lie. But it also asks the question of like what is real. As again, you can use AI to make some amazing digital artwork. Whether you have like an original photo as a source or whether you even don't, and it's like the written AI where you can just type in what you want and it comes up with a photo. The fact that that's already being put into cameras, it's kind of terrifying, because at the end of the day, yes, it is me dressed as a character. I look nothing like myself normally, but at the same time, that is me.
Yeah.
Like some of the mannerisms, yes, I might be posing in a certain way to look like a character, but there are still elements of it where it's myself. Whereas if that software was just say implemented into cameras, you couldn't turn it off, what would be the point? Because that wouldn't be myself. That would just be like a skeleton of me in a sense. If you get where I mean, I can't get the words out. But...
No, that's fine. I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, which I think this is the next statement I was going to make about this little bit we're talking about now. When I first heard about this best take, and then all these articles about, oh my god, what is a photo? What is it? It's quite interesting that my brain from a cosplay community went, but I'm used to that. I'm used to that photo manipulation, and I wonder if it's also apparent to other cosplayers, regardless if you're a cosplayer or a photographer. So I meant to say, I wonder if it's more apparent to the cosplay community, despite if you're a cosplayer or a photographer, because we're used to it. We're used to seeing photo we expect it to be edited. I think if it's edited to one degree, if not fully degreed, we're kind of already expecting that photo to be edited in some way. And if we do hear, oh, it's all done in camera, we go, oh, that's cool. But actually, we're more, I wouldn't say the word accepting, but we're more used to seeing an edited photo. And I wonder why, I wonder if our community is better prepared, or at least a bit more knowledgeable about, kind of like the use of generative AI in photography.
I feel we are, but we aren't. I think we are because, again, like, I'm just going to use my own photos as an example. When people do manage, I know that with yourself, you try to get as much right in camera as possible, as do many others, because it just makes things easier when it comes to the post-production element of it. Like, yes, it's great, get it all done as much as, well, not all of it, but get as much as you possibly can get done in camera.
Yeah.
And I know that I have a big appreciation for that, just because, like, not many people know this, but I did a photography A-level, didn't do very well in it, but I did do a photography A-level, so I do have an understanding of like how composition works and lighting and some of this, just from the very basic stuff I learned during my A-levels. So I have a big appreciation for that, and I know a lot of other cosplayers, even if they don't have that knowledge, they have an appreciation for that, because it is a talent, it is a skill that not everybody has. But at the same time, we are used to getting we're used to our photos being edited. There's been photos of me that I've received, some that I've posted, some that I haven't. They look absolutely nothing like me at all. Even in the costume, like, that does not look like me as a person. And I mean, I'm not afraid to tell people, like, I've received pictures and I'm like, no, that's edited far too much. I'm very sorry, that doesn't look like me. I'm not afraid to speak my mind when it comes to that, because again, most cosplay photography, especially at conventions, I don't pay the photographers for it, they don't pay me for it, we're doing it for each other's time. So when it comes to that, it's like, okay, fine, I'm not getting paid for it, I know I don't have as much of a say, but at the same time, don't over edit me so much you can't tell that it's me. But we are used to it, whether it just be, as you said earlier, colour correction, skin edits, whether it be full-blown special effects and background changes. Like, we are very much accustomed to seeing that. It's not a shock to us when we see that. Yeah. So I think that if this does become more widely used, just in general, like, yes, I think the cosplay community, they'll adapt because they have to adapt. Whether it's because they can really quickly adjust or whether it takes time, I think it depends on each individual cosplayer rather than everyone as a whole. Personally, sorry for the rambling.
That's all right, no problem.
I was going to say that of a moment, or in the past perhaps, I could go through looking at pictures from, say, a particular event, and I could recognize quite a lot of the images to be from a particular photographer, because there's quite a few photographers which have got their own style, and you can tell from looking at the image how it's been edited, and you think, oh, well, that'll be one of such and such's photo, and you look at it, yep, it's one of theirs. I do wonder though, with if generative AI becomes more and more popular and used in more and more people's edits, that it's going to be a bit more homogenized and everything's going to start looking a bit similar. So because I do think that at the moment, the pictures which I take and pictures you take will be different. I mean, there's quite a few other pictures out there which I look at it and I'll immediately know, oh, that'll be from such and such, and you look at it, that was. Sometimes I'm wrong, because sometimes people take something which is not in their normal style, which is good, because you always want to be learning and moving on a bit, hopefully.
Yes.
But you can usually see people's skill and their styles evolving over time as well. But AI, I think I do worry that the thing with AI is that AI isn't really doing anything which you can't do yourself. It's just doing it for you quickly. But does that mean people aren't going to learn the skills themselves anymore? I know you're saying it's opening up to a lot more people to do things, which is good. But then if people are going to rely on it to do everything and not know how to do things themselves, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well,
but,
I was going to say, this actually leads to my next question very nicely, actually. Good segue there, Kev. I mean, there are people who don't like the idea of generative AI because you think it's either takes away from the art of editing a photo or opens up way too much to people to edit photos. So, Kev, I'll start with you. What is the difference then between, shall we say, generative AI work to edited composite work? Or like you just said, there is none. It's just one's.
Yeah, I said you can do. There's some people who in the community which are absolutely awesome producing what I would call digital artwork from photos, and they have been for years. It doesn't matter if it's this is doing it all by hand. I can think of a couple of photographers in the community which produce some absolutely awesome images, and you look at it, there's not a lot of the original photo left there. And these are before the days of AI, so it's not as if people couldn't have pictures edited this way in the past. It was a very specific skill though, and not many people could do it. So I don't think that generative AI is bringing anything particularly new to the mix. It's just making it accessible to a lot more people. And whether, like I said, whether that's good because more people have access to the tools now, but they're just having to be very descriptive about what they want something to do, and from using it the same as I do, but just because you can describe what you want it to do doesn't always mean it's going to understand and do what you want it to do. And I have specifically noticed that occasionally I've picked up a hand when I've been trying to, say VeeCon, and take out the wristbands and things, and Content Aware Fill is really good for doing that. And I've tried generative AI for it, and you end up with a deformed hand or something like that. So the technology will get better. I have no doubt about that. It's getting better all the time at a ridiculously fast speed. But like I said, I don't think it's doing anything which certain people couldn't already do. But like I say, it's just making it accessible to a lot more people, and so you're going to get some people which are really, really good at using it, and some people which are just going to end up with a very default generic image edited by generative AI, I think. No, I don't, because I think that being able to manually use the skills means that you'll always be able to do things which the vast majority of people just relying on AI to do it for them won't be able to get precisely exactly what they want. But like I said, it's just the fact that you can do it very quickly and very easily. But I do think if you've got I don't have these skills, but if you've got those skills to be what I would call a digital artist, then it's something which I don't think, well, not at the current state of it anyway, generative AI can actually completely reproduce. But for the average punter wanting a image, would you be willing to pay for somebody to spend all that extra time and effort when you can get something which is 95% as good or 90% as good?
Well, talking about paying, that is the question I was going to ask Cassandra, because you mentioned about paying. So, Cassandra,
Hello.
you mentioned about, if they've done a good work, and it's worth their time, you'd pay them. If the
Yes.
photographer opened up and said, "Here's your edited photo. I use generative AI. Here's a bill," would you still pay it?
I think that's a difficult question, because again, it depends if it was a con shot and they went, "I'm charging you for that. I used AI." Then I would get angry, because con shots in general, like I know for conventions like MCM, it's actually within the ticket terms conditions that you do not charge for photography at the convention unless you are an exhibitor.
Yeah.
So if they were not an exhibitor, then I would have a problem, and I would be like, "You should not be doing this. Take the photo back. I'm not going to use it. All yours." But if it was, say, an out of con shot and I've already agreed to pay them because it's out of con, so obviously you're paying for somebody's time and everything. If they then came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, I've edited your pictures. Here they go. I used I can't say the word now. I used AI for it. So I'd like just a bit more than we initially agreed. Would I be up for paying that?" I think it depends on what the result is. If it was 95% AI generated and then like 10% the actual photo, then I would be annoyed, because it's like, then I could have just gone to a digital artist and asked them to. I could have probably taken a photo, got someone else I know to take a photo and just sent it to a digital artist. Because like Kev said, there are a lot of cosplay photographers in the community who have dabbled in digital art, who do produce digital art with their photos, and they've done it all themselves for years.
Yeah.
Like I even remember, like, however many, my first MCM I went to was 2017, October 2017. And even then, like, I didn't join the community, I think, until like the May of like 2018 properly, I'd say. But I was seeing photos taken at MCM which were like definitely very much done in a digital art style, and I was impressed by them, and I was like, this isn't just taken in camera, this is someone's actual like home skills, spending hours working on this.
Yeah.
And I even said to myself back then, I still say the same today, if I had the chance to do that with any of my photos, I'm up for paying however much it costs. Especially if it's a cosplay that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind paying that. So I'm thinking right now, if someone came up to me and was like, "I want to do a Witcher photo shoot with you. I want to make it look exactly as it looks in the game, but I'm going to have to charge you for it. But I will be doing all of the editing and background composite and everything myself by hand." I'd be like, "Yep, that's not a problem. How much are you charging?" If it was more than what I thought, okay, fair enough, because you're spending time, you're sitting there for hours, you're doing it all yourself. Whereas if that same person came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, I want to do this Witcher photo shoot with you and a bunch of others, as accurate to the game as possible, but I'm not going to be doing the editing, I'm going to be using AI technology to do the editing," then I would be, I think, less inclined.
So, hang on. So you're equating time and effort.
Yeah, it's like I'm also equating, like, so if I am going to be paying somebody for like that intense equivalent, I'd rather somebody be doing it themselves than relying on like the technology to generate something for them.
But me and Kev have always said, it's using generative AI is a tool. It's not just simple type it in, bam, there's your results.
Yeah.
You still need to like curate your answer enough, your question enough to say to the generative AI, use this. We still got to select the version we want to use and then also manipulate where it goes over the image type of thing. I'm not trying to what's the word?
I'm very conflicted with it because
Yeah.
if somebody was being open from the beginning,
Yeah.
so I was more so saying like I'd be reluctant if they weren't open from the beginning, but if they were open from the beginning and
Yeah.
they said I'm doing this is my idea,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be completely open with you from now. I'm planning to be using this software to help me. I'm not letting it do everything, but I'm using it to aid me.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, okay, that's absolutely fine. You're being honest with me from the beginning. And as long as like they are open to not just to me, but to everyone involved.
Yeah.
And even when they post it, if they're honest and they say, I did use, because I know you have with like my Tris Marigold, the photo I'm thinking of in my head with the fire that you edited yourself.
Yeah.
You were open with those photos, and you even put in the post, you put, I use generative AI for this photo. It's something like that is what I'd be like, okay, just as long as you do that and you're open with the fact that you've used this software, that's not a problem. I'm happy to pay for that. But I just want honesty at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think I'm sorry. I'm still on the line about the word effort. So I'm just trying to think. So if a photographer told you I spent 10 hours on this photo, but it looked shit, but they want money for it. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't quite. I saw a video months ago about how you shouldn't really relate a length of time to cost in a sense. You can still make great artwork or great work in a short amount of time, but you're punishing that person for making good work in a shorter amount of time rather than someone who spent 10 hours or many hours but still can produce shit. Do you get what I'm saying? Sorry, that just
it's a difficult question.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, somebody could spend 10 hours on a photo and it could look horrific.
Yeah.
And somebody else could spend an hour and a half and it could be like one of the most stunning things you've ever seen.
Yeah. Well,
I think
do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it really does depend.
Yeah.
But if somebody did come to me and I wasn't happy with the result, but they said, I've used AI, I'm just asking that you pay me for it. I think it depends on how much their rates were as well. Because again, it depends if this was taken at a convention where again it's like where nobody's supposed to be charging anyone.
No.
Whereas if it was an out of convention and they said, oh no, I'm going to ask you to pay me extra. And if it was an out of convention, I'd be like, yeah, that's not a problem. I'm happy to pay you. Because this wasn't in a convention. We had an agreement that I was going to be paying you anyway.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But when it's at a convention and someone turns around to you and said, oh yeah, here's your photos, but to use them, you need to pay me for them.
Yeah.
That's when I have a problem because I have had that happen before in the past.
Ooh.
And it's like, you don't have an exhibitor pass, you should not be doing that.
No, absolutely.
So it's like, that's when I have an issue with it, is when you shoot with someone at a convention and they go, oh yeah, I'm going to charge you for this. And it's like, actually, you shouldn't be charging.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. No,
absolutely. That's more so what I meant.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
Kevin, you've been very quiet for a while. Do you want to just jump in very quickly?
Yeah, I was going to say that at the moment, I know both yourself and I, I've only posted a few pictures which I've used generative AI on, and I've shown, here's the edited picture. I use generative AI, and then I've shown in the comments a picture of the shot out of camera, so you can see exactly what's happened. And that's mainly, I think, because it's a fairly new tool. But I would be surprised if going forward we're going to have many people actually mention what tools they're using. Because do you say, I used Photoshop on this, I used Boris Optics to help with my special effects, I used whatever program to do my color correcting, I used whatever program to do a skin smoothing. I don't think people are going to even mention it. I mean, how do you know?
Well, that again, segueing into the next question I was going to ask, but I will actually not say back you up, I will extend that answer as well, because I have, like you said, I've seen lots of people who've used Midjourney to create a photo, post it into photo groups, and I've just gone, why are people putting photos like this in a photography group? Because like you said, that's not in my mind a photo.
No,
that's
if
a digital
art. If it didn't start as a photo, or there's less, I think less than about 75% of a photo in it, then that's digital artwork. But in my mind, but if we're talking about purely editing photos, I don't think many people will be mentioning what tools they've used to edit a picture.
Mm.
People are mentioning it at the moment, I think, as I said, because it's new.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to last for long, and I think people are just going to be, here's your edited picture back.
Ah.
Will you know it was somebody doing composites and own manual work, or was it used with generative AI? I'm not sure how you'd know.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people are going to mention it, and especially if somebody's charging. Anything which will sort of speed up their edits and make things quicker. I'm pretty sure they're definitely not going to be saying what they're using.
No, and like you said, I think because there are some photos which are very obvious that it is edited, such as composite photos, like they put a castle in the background, lightning, like lightsaber effects, things like that. You're going to know that is, composite SFX edited. That's going to be edited. You don't.
Something's happened to it. You don't know what they've done to do that, though.
Yeah, exactly, and things like that. Whereas, like you said, at the moment, I'm writing into my blog posts on my website. These photos are almost said the wrong word. Parts of the photo has been edited using generative AI, mainly on the background, never on the model. I never thought about how long I'd have that disclaimer there. I don't know. I've not thought about that, actually. I think I might be using it for at least...
but I think you're in a minority doing that.
Oh, yeah,
I think
absolutely.
There are lots of other photographers out there using it already, which aren't mentioning it at all.
Yeah, because I personally think it's a moral... at the moment, I have to pick my words very carefully. At the moment, I think it's very immoral not to say you've not used generative AI, because I don't want... I think I've said this before. I don't want people to think that I've jumped in a level of photography level, thinking that I'm manually editing this photo to that nth degree. I'm using generative AI to help me, aid me to get to that level. Okay, like you said, in years to come, I might drop that disclaimer because, like you said, it's going to be used everywhere. I'm a minority who's declaring it, disclosing it. But do you think? I'll start with you, Kev, since we were just talking about. Do you think it is somewhat up to the photographer to disclose they're using generative AI, or it may be just encompassing all editors to say this is an edited photo?
Okay. Do you ever post a picture on your proper photography site? I'm not talking about Insta stories or something now. I'm just talking about a proper photo which isn't edited.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. If you take photography seriously, the chance of you uploading photos as finished images which aren't edited is very, very slim. Now you might say, "Oh, here's a straight out camera image." Sometimes you're so happy with an image and you want it to be seen straight away. You might send a stock image saying, "Here's something straight out of camera," and then later publish the full edited image. But I think most people which take photography seriously are putting pictures out there which have all been edited in some way, even if it's just cropping and maybe a little bit of brightening or darkening or whatever, But what is anybody listing exactly all of the different steps they've done on their photos? I don't think so. So at the moment, yes, okay, you're disclosing that you're using another tool. But did you put down when you were using content-aware fill?
Absolutely no. I have not. I'm not doing that. But I think I'm only doing it for generative AI because it's such a hot topic.
Yeah. But like I said, but what's more? Is it any more different? And say, okay, I'm using content-aware fill because it's a quick, easy tool to get rid of badges and wrist straps. From attending an event. I can get rid of them in just 30 seconds or something, where it used to take blooming ages. So I don't know. I said I think most photographers don't put all the steps they've taken and all the tools they've used to do it. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, that people don't know what's been done to the image, as long as they're happy with the image at the end of the day. Now, sometimes I've had, not actually in cosplay, but on another picture saying, "Oh, why did you make me look so thin?" And I've had to send them the raw straight out of camera image saying, "No, I haven't changed your body at all. Just how we lit it and how we got you to pose." So they're thinking that it's been edited in some way to reduce their size, and no, that's just how you got them to pose and how you lit them in the first place. So sometimes just to show what you've done, I have actually gone back to the original images to show here's the raw. There's been no body editing in this whatsoever. But I do think that I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if a photographer doesn't say how they've edited a picture and the fact they've used generative AI any more than they would say I used Condescend to wear Phil or composited in a castle in the background with a flying dragon.
Oh my god, you got a dragon somehow! Oh my god, where can I find my local Dragons R Us to hire one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you have to make it. You've got to make it.
Absolutely.
Especially with pyrotechnics, you got to get all your fire and things ready.
Too damn right, too damn right. Cassandra, I know you're not a photographer, and you've probably heard a lot of terminology you probably don't understand. But
no, you're good.
From what you did understand, and very briefly, because we're definitely running out of time on the podcast, would you want either right now for the near future disclose if they are using such as generative AI or what editing techniques they're using, or do you agree with Kev? It's just a bit overkill that we do expect these photos to be edited in some way.
I think, like Kev said, like we expect photos to be edited, whether that's just really like small things, whether that's just like via Lightroom and just changing the lighting slightly, making something darker, something like maybe making the background darker and someone's face slightly brighter, or whether it's just doing again a full composite edit or with background changes, pyro, again a dragon. You mentioned a dragon. You can kind of tell. Again, like you can tell when a photo is a raw image and when it's been edited. At least I think you can tell. But also at the same time, I feel like it doesn't have to be disclosed, but should the person who is in the photo, should the subject then ask you once they receive the photo, can you please tell me how this has been edited? I think then it should be disclosed if the person then asks.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fine.
I feel like, say, as somebody who has often been the model in these situations, I feel that if, say, I went to a photographer and I was like, this is really great, really like it, but can you please tell me how this has been edited? Just for my, whether that's just they want to know, or whether it's just for their own curiosity, or there's many factors. But again, myself personally, with AI, I feel, again, I know when you told me, when you were doing my tryst photos, and you told me, I am using generative AI to change the background, but you English, Cassandra, get the teeth in, but you were like, your body hasn't been changed whatsoever, but just I've used AI to help me with the background a bit. I think my message to you was that's not a problem. I'm very impressed that you were able to do that. I think I sent you something like that, but I don't have a problem with that, but I know that I appreciated knowing that that was how you did it. And I remember when I saw you in MCM October, and we were talking about this again when we were shooting my Yennefer cosplay. You actually pulled up one of the photos and you showed me what was left of the original background.
Did I?
And yeah, you did. You pulled up the photo and said, "Oh, this tiny bit here." I was like, "Yeah." You go, "Yeah, that's all that's left of the original background." And I was just very impressed. Yeah. You remember now?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very brief moment whilst when my eyes weren't trying to kill me. Thank you, contact lenses. But it was a very brief moment, but you were able to show me. You said this was the last bit of what's actually there. The rest of the background is completely edited. And I just remember my jaw dropping and just being so impressed with it. I was like, this is so cool. That's really impressive. And I appreciated the fact that you were able to tell me.
Yeah.
Because rather than just going, I don't remember what's real and what's not real, other than yourself, you were able to go, no, this bit here is what is left. And then I used this technology to create this around it, and I just thought that's really impressive.
Yeah, I like to think I've got a vague memory of how I've edited a photo. So yeah,
even if you didn't, you would just open from the beginning, before you sent me the edited photos, before I filled out your forms and everything.
Yeah,
you even said to me, you sent an extra message going, just so you're aware, I have used generative AI on the backgrounds. Is that okay with you? And I was like, yeah, not a problem.
I don't think I said I've used it. Is that okay? I've just used it. tough luck.
Don't kill me. But you were open from the very beginning. which I know I appreciated, and I feel that if people are to use this sort of technology going forward, I think that openness is definitely something that needs to be considered.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
What you don't need to do a disclaimer in posts. If you do, great, like that's nice, but
Yeah.
just make the model aware that you have used it.
That's fine.
Just for their own peace of mind more than anything.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
I don't think I definitely don't have any problem if somebody gets in touch with me and saying, "Oh, what did you do to this, and how did you change it?" Like I said, somebody who's queried on another picture about did I change their body shape, which is something I'd never do, and I wouldn't have problems with people asking about the edit as well. It said I try in the past, I've always tried to make it so my editing. I'm having trouble speaking now as well. So my editing is quite light-handed, so that most of my most heavily edited pictures are the ones which I'm hoping at the end of the day don't look as if they've had much edit. I don't tend to do a lot of special effects. I think my picture of Chris Mason, Nightwing, which looks like a very simple picture, doesn't look like it's had a lot of editing, but that was a 10-hour edit on that one, which is one of my longest ever edits.
I'm trying to find this photo now that you mentioned.
I'll send you a link to it later. But
please do.
And there's another one of Batman, which was didn't have any editing at all, but that looks more as if it has been edited. It's not always obvious. But like I said, I don't think I need to explain when I'm taking pictures each time about what I've done and what I've how I've edited a picture. Having said that, I do live stream occasionally when I'm doing edits, so people can watch anyway. So it's no secret. But likewise, I don't have no problem if somebody came back to me and said, "Oh, what was actually done to this picture?" Because I do keep all my BSD files, so it's easy enough to have a look back and see all the different steps that made up an image. So
that's fine.
But yeah.
Okay, cool.
Generative AI, at the end of the day, it's just another tool. Some people use it, and other people will abuse it. And that's it.
It has its uses, definitely. Whether that be for good or for evil, it has its uses.
Yeah.
Right. So, ultimate question, last question, because we're definitely running out of time on the podcast. I'll start with Cassandra. From a cosplayer's point of view, what is a photo?
I think, in my opinion, a photo is a collaboration between model and photographer, whether the AI is used or not. At the end of the day, it is still a collaboration between two people, if not more, to create something that shows off both many different skills, whether that be the skill of the cosplayer and as well as the skill of the photographer, being with composition, editing, and even the use of generative AI. At the end of the day, it's just a set of skills that are collaborating together to create something more. That's how I'd say.
Yeah, well, I think I've said it a few times now, haven't I? But in my opinion, it's only a photo if the majority of the image is the photo, and once the majority of the image you're looking at isn't from the photo, then I would call that just digital artwork. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But and I think there's some awesome digital artwork. But I think that once the majority of an image you're looking at isn't from the photo, then I don't think you can still call it the photo.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think.
What do you think, then?
I was going to say
that was my next question.
It's quite interesting because I've always stood on the stance that a photo should bring the best out of the person or the environment you're in. So, we mentioned it so many times, the Tris photos. You could, the photo has to. I don't think it's as long as you can mask that where you are. Or it's like you say, you don't want to block a building in the background. If you can convert that to something else, to say a forest or a bit more, less urbanized, more foresty, and add a bit of SFX to it, just to enhance the person in the photo. That's achievement for me. I don't know how much I agree or disagree with the percentage level. There are moments I'm thinking, oh, maybe it should be 50, maybe 75 is actually right, or maybe. I don't know. It's just like I said, that percentage level just change. I'm a little fixated on that a little bit, but I don't know what I think about it per se. But for me, a photo is something that not enhances, I'm talking about the generative AI. A photo is basically it immerses you into in the moment of that, how that photo should make you feel. And if it does use generative AI to make you feel more, then so be it. And like I said, we've had years and years of people using it through traditional editing, composite, using SFX, using Photoshop, things like that, content aware, removal, the odd blemish, something that doesn't break the illusion of what the photo is meant to achieve. I think that's what a photo is. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And on that note, we can end the podcast.
Yay!
Yay! Really serious podcast this was. Hopefully, we'll try to have a fun, chatty podcast extra. That's it, podcast extra. Why did I? Oh, jeez.
None of us can English today.
We really can't English today. So on that note, Cassandra, where can they find you on the social medias?
So if you want to follow my social media, I mainly use my Instagram, which is C_Lestrange, as in Bellatrix. That's the way I'm always going to say it. Will never change. I also have a Twitter, but I don't really use my Twitter. But if anyone wants to see some really great shit posting, my Twitter is power is and then P0 and then as in power. Cersei Lannister quote, "Don't judge me." I was shocked it wasn't taken, so I've stolen it. There's mine.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Kev, where can they find you on the social medias?
Okay, regular photography webpage is kevinpack.co.uk, and my cosplay site, which I need to fix badly, is cosplay.co.uk. So that's nice and simple. Cosplay.co.uk. Can't forget that one.
Fantastic. If anyone needs to find me on the social medias, it is foodandcosplay.org/links. That's where you'll find all my social medias, from Threads, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think there's others as well. If you go to foodandcosplay.org, generally you'll find daily cosplay photos. Oh god, I need to upload today's daily photos to social. Anyway, I've literally been in bed. I could not be bothered to move. I was just doom scrolling. If you go to doom.com.
Doomscrolling.com.
Yeah, if you go to foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you'll find previous recorded podcasts with these two on different subjects. With different guests as well. The thing. This is podcast. I think there's. Hang on, I need to find out now. I'm gonna maths. I think this is podcast 179 or 180. No, 179.
Nice.
179. I'm getting close to 200. I need to do something for my 200th episode one of these days. But anyway, that's for it next year. So I've got about less than 180 podcasts for you to go through. They get progressively better if you start from one, but if you go backwards, they get progressively worse. I don't know how people listen.
Was I on any of the early ones? I can't remember.
I think you were definitely on some of the early
probably.
ones. Yeah. And if you go to patreon.com/foodandcosplay, you can hear the podcast extra. That's where we're going to go over now. We're going to be shit talking about something. I don't quite know yet. I think
we shall have to see.
Let's talk about the British weather. God, that's how shit the British weather is.
It's cold out.
It is very cold.
It's very cold.
I'm getting hypothermia. I can't feel my hands.
Actually, I know what we can do. Let's talk about presents you can give to a photographer or cosplayer for Christmas. All right, let's do that. All right. Because it's almost Christmas to the relative of this podcast. If you're listening to this after Christmas, well, you've got a list for next year, all right?
I'm too Jewish for Christmas. For me, can it be counted as Hanukkah?
Yeah, sure, Hanukkah. We'll do that.
Yay!
And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, and they're going to say bye. So bye, guys!
Bye!
Bye!